I'm the parts operations director here at Toyota Richardson. I've been in the business for 25 plus years. We sell currently $2 million a month in OE Toyota parts. We have a high volume used car department here at Toyota Richardson, and 13 months ago when I arrived at the dealership, the used car department was using a vendor that would come out twice a week to cut keys for their used cars, because our commitment to our customers is to have 2 keys with every used car sold. And our old solution was having a locksmith come out, which really wasn't a good solution in my book. When I got here, I didn't see the benefit of that. We were waiting around and having to bring customers back, which becomes a CSI issue for the dealership, and in this day and age, CSI is everything. So being able to have the smart box, the Condor key cutter, and having keys in inventory end up just empowering us to be able to service a customer the whole time we're open. So working with Auto Remote Direct, I was able to set up a key program, allow the parts department to sell the keys, and allow our used car technicians to actually program those keys to the vehicle and keep all that revenue in the dealership. We're open 72 hours a week. We cut keys and program them all 72 hours. We have technicians and parts staff here, and that's definitely a better solution for us than twice a week a locksmith coming out. We're able to facilitate the purchase of all our keys for all makes, all models, not just Toyotas, which is a big benefit for us. We have the smart box, which allows us to program these keys to the vehicle, which the technicians, we have 7 used car technicians here at Toyota Richardson. They love it. It's so easy. Basically, it's a couple of clicks to get the process started. And it's just for all makes, all models. We didn't have a key machine here, so we were having to use a locksmith to cut some of our keys, and even going to other dealerships to cut high security side mill keys. So we ended up purchasing the Condor machine, and we've had a lot of success with that machine. It's super easy to use. My guys love it. Allows us to put the key SKU code from Auto Remote Direct right into the Condor, and that automatically knows which head to use and cuts the key instantly. Fixed a pain point we had at the dealership in cutting a second key for a customer. All my counter guys, they all use the app to look up keys for non-Toyota vehicles. It's just been a super easy process for the guys. In my 25 plus years, Auto Remote Direct has probably been one of the seamless, easiest programs to launch, and probably one of my most successful. We were able to generate in-house $60,000 a month in revenue. That's between parts and labor. When it comes to used cars, it's all about cost of reconditioning these used cars, and the price of these keys are priced right, and this key program was a huge boost to us in 2019 for all departments.
We're so excited to be welcoming Jay Leno to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Ben, what are you doing?
I'm not Ben. I'm Jay Leno. This is my garage.
Look, Ben, we know you're brilliant with your impersonations. And as a finalist on Australia's Got Talent, you're definitely world famous. But we don't want people to think that we tricked them into thinking the real Jay Leno won't be here.
I understand. I really do. But
can the real Jay Leno do me? I know that he can fix machines in his garage. But can he battle the machines that are trying to overtake the world?
Okay. Thanks, Ben. John Malashenko and more just ahead. We'll be back.
Carrot, that's my line. Just stop it.
Come on, Ben.
Come on.
Get out of here.
Don't be ridiculous.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. I'm Gene Girdley, along with your host, Ted Ings, and a special guest returning again from our live presentations is John Malashenko. John, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Great to be back, guys.
Hey, John, so honored to have you here. Everyone, John Malashenko is the Chief Operating Officer for the Germain Motor Company. And John is a great friend of the conference. He spoke at our last physical event. John, I can't believe it's just a year ago. We were out in Las Vegas, and I thought we had a big crowd there, and who could have imagined the year that was ahead? So
I long for those days, and I wish we were back together right now, but I look forward to it next year.
Yeah, and I do as well. And John, we're very honored to have you. And again, great to have you back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. You've always got tremendous information to share with our audience. So I'm gonna, and by the way, I've known you. You and I have known each other a long time, probably longer than we'd like to admit.
Absolutely longer than we should be talking about.
But John is a wealth of information, great experience from throughout the retail area. And John, I'm going to let you go ahead and I'll let you take it away.
Great. So what I'd like to talk to you about today is an idea that's been evolving for several years, and the title of the presentation is How to Talk to All Your Customers All the Time in a Way That's Unique to Them. Quite a promise. So I want to tell you a little bit about how we got started. Now, I'm John Malashenko. As Ted said, I'm the COO of Germain Motor Company. Germain's a family-owned business comprised of 21 different brands in 5 markets across Ohio, Florida, and Michigan. And our brands cater to a diverse clientele with luxury brands like Lexus, BMW, Mercedes, top imports like Toyota and Honda, and a full complement of domestic brands. We sell upwards of 25,000 vehicles a year. We have 1,000 associates and sales exceeding $1 billion. And while we're proud of our size and accomplishments, it's not what defines us. We are first and foremost a family-owned business that began over 70 years ago and whose 4th generation is actively involved in its day-to-day operation. I like to say we think big, but operate small. Our mission statement probably says it best. Our primary focus is to attract, develop, and retain exceptional people with the express goal of customer retention, or as we define it, loyalty beyond reason. So with customer loyalty as a holy grail of sorts, we began a journey several years ago to really understand what that meant, and more importantly, how you achieved it. We believe true loyalty is not driven by vehicle selection or even pricing as much as it is relationships. The challenge was that with over 1 million customer records between sales and service, creating relationships person to person was at best daunting and at worst impossible. Our strategies for doing so, like many in the industry, relied on either a periodic follow-up call prompted by a CRM that was more often than not made by someone other than their original salesperson. These calls piled up and people either became overwhelmed or found creative ways to pretend the call had been made. Our other killer strategy was to send out frequent one-size-fits-all templated campaigns to huge numbers of customers that often went straight to junk or caused the customer to opt out of all further communication. The other reality was that our data was so dirty that much of it kicked back. Our goal was to find a way to talk to all our customers in a way that was unique to them and to have it automated so that it happened all the time. The search went on for almost 3 years to find a partner that we could work with to develop this solution. We even considered hiring our own programmers and data scientists to develop one in-house. Ultimately, we came up with a partner and a solution that allows us to build and maintain customer relationships using technology, and specifically artificial intelligence. The result is regular but respectful communications with every customer throughout their life cycle that builds value, trust, and ultimately retention. So we proactively embraced digital over a decade ago, moving completely away from traditional media such as print, radio, and television. We were obsessed with innovation and added a lot of software partners to drive more leads and calls to the dealerships. The problem was that we innovated beyond our ability to execute and struggled to keep up with all the activity, much of which was not of the greatest quality. In an effort to simplify things and narrow our focus, we started asking one simple question: what matters most? In doing so, we realized that when it came to our marketing and advertising strategy, the thing that mattered most was our customer base and the essential need for a communication strategy that would allow us to talk to everyone in the right way and with the right frequency. We didn't need to go digging for gold in all the wrong places. It was right underneath our feet. After several years of searching unsuccessfully for an existing solution, in 2019, we joined forces with Outsell, an established automotive solutions provider from Minneapolis. While we had worked with them in the past at a couple of stores, what we were looking to do went significantly beyond their offerings at the time. Thanks to their passion for the project, led by their CEO, Mike Wethington, we were on our way. They also already possessed the programming and data science expertise that would be required. So on a very cold December morning in 2018, we arrived in Minnesota for our first discovery section. Our first challenge was to deal with 3 major roadblocks. First, we had data silos in the group, and that equals conflict and lost opportunities. Each store had their own CRM and DMS and their own marketing solutions and strategies. We needed to put all that data in a single location, build effective communication rules, and create new processes that everyone would buy into. Number 2, we had disorganized and often conflicting messages going out. For example, say we had a customer who just took delivery and we're trying to sell them a new one. Or what about if we sent a service message about a Civic that he disposed of 3 years ago? How do you think they would feel? What would they think about us? Would it increase or decrease the likelihood that they would service or repurchase? Probably the latter. We also lacked the right tools. Anyone who has dealt with lots of data and multiple systems that don't communicate knows how frustrating and inefficient this is. How do we tie systems? How do we tie it all together, all the data from each brand's CRMs and DMS, clean the data, use it correctly, and continue to keep the data clean and usable? We realized we had to be able to communicate to every customer, no matter where they started their journey, and to do so throughout their entire ownership cycle. To do so required that we leverage technology, artificial intelligence, data, defined processes, and individualized communications across all stores and brands. The solution was what's called a CDP, or centralized data platform, that is driven by artificial intelligence. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So how did we solve the obstacles? To eliminate the silo issues, the outsell team came up with the following solutions. First, a global consumer ID. This consolidated customer data across stores into a single record. This way, we can see all their unique transactions and decide as a group the best message from the right store and the right retention plan. Second was what's called a hierarchy option. This allowed us to organize our data into different markets, which better allows us to customize and personalize communications based on brand and location. As for the conflicting messages, when you have multiple stores in the same market, it is not unusual to have a single customer or household in multiple store databases. In that situation, programs today send a reminder to the store they last serviced from and a lost service discount from another store. That's confusing to the customer and expensive for us. So we untied that knot. So here's a look at the centralized data platform that's driven by artificial intelligence. Think of the CDP as the conductor that orchestrates personalized messages to all the customers at just the right frequency. Where consumers are in their life cycle determines what messages they receive and does so on their preferred channel through AI-driven automation. With the CDP, your service advisor can identify your high-value customers or a first-time customer and provide an experience that's appropriate for both. Used service is a huge opportunity. Results double when the brands are aligned. If you sell a used Lexus from your Honda store and you continually send messages about Honda vehicles or service opportunities, even if your service drive can maintain that vehicle, your results are going to double if you send that customer messages from your Lexus store. And for the win, you keep the customer in the Germain brand family versus losing them to a competitor down the street. Today, we offer these customers the choice of their original purchase store or any matching OEM brand stores for their vehicle. Ultimately, sales reinforce service and service reinforce sales, no silos. It's all about the full consumer life cycle. And while we know that inherently, oftentimes our systems, our strategies don't align to it. So here's a look at some of the creative that we've developed and is actually in place in our stores. These are examples of communications that we send out. Consider this: a longtime service customer who, unbeknownst to you, has started shopping. As a result of the service rules and the AI driving the messages, that customer will now start receiving specific inventory that they may have been searching for in his or her messages. In addition to this, because of the CDP, when they come in for their next service appointment, the service advisor will see that they have been shopping in the system and advise them of sales opportunities or vehicles on the lot that they may be interested in. On the sales side, once someone becomes a customer, your messages are tailored individually to that customer. The customer retention communication strategy has allowed us to provide a customer-centric, personalized experience with a comprehensive, consistent communication strategy using clean data. We removed the typical automotive tiered approach, which limits marketing efforts, but now allows our customers to see the personalization, engage with our content, and respond accordingly. We got the handcuffs of the DMSs off our data and allow second-party vendors and partners responsible to access our data. We can communicate to any of our customers, no matter the location in which they purchased. All our Toyota brand customers and all our Honda brand customers can now start receiving Germain sales and service messaging based on their brand and not on their location of purchase. That's how we're breaking through the customer experience betters in order to retain customers for life. Now, we launched this program in October of last year. So we've had some time to see whether it works or not. It's all a great idea and a great concept, but does it work? So we're still very early in the process, but here's what we've seen so far. increased sales from service, up 11%. So these are sales from customers who had previously only serviced with the dealership, right? That's a significant increase. So the cross communication, the personalization of the messages, our ability to track our customers' activity online and send them messages that are aligned to what they want, not what we want. So we're not telling them what we want them to know. We're telling them what they want to know by using AI. Additionally, increased service visits. So we've had a 9% increase in customers returning for service. So again, we've seen, at a very pivotal time when business had softened in many cases, this new initiative made the difference. It supported growth that we otherwise wouldn't have seen. What we're more excited about is the system continues to get smarter. The more it learns about our customers, the better it can customize the messaging. So as it goes on, as artificial intelligence is designed to do, we find out more about a customer's preferences and transactional history based on their behavior online. So these aren't new ideas. They've been practiced in the e-commerce world, and we've been on the receiving end as customers of Amazon and the like for many, many years. But up till now, it's really not been an available option in retail automotive. So we're excited to be heading down this path. Our goal is to drive service and sales retention to unprecedented levels in the past, and obviously continue to grow our business regardless of what's going on in the marketplace, which is a nice place to be. So with that, Ted?
John, I got a couple questions for you.
Sure.
In taking a look at what you've just shown us, how long did this take to come about once you decided that this was the plan of action to develop this and to put it in place? I imagine with some testing and rolling it out.
So the funny thing is, it's, we talk about the Holy Grail, right? It was sort of like a Monty Python movie, right? It was a long and not so easy journey. We first talked about it at NADA in New Orleans, which was, maybe 4 years ago. Okay. We had the idea that we wanted an owner-based communication strategy that allowed us to talk to everybody. And we wanted to do it in a way that was personalized. The problem was there was not a solution out there. And we looked high and low to find somebody. And a lot of people claimed to do it, and they did bits and pieces of it, but not what we wanted. So we had a lot of starts and stops. At one point, I was interviewing data scientists and programmers because I had seen it done inside one group, but it was incredibly complex and incredibly expensive. And, you're really having to manage it, yourself. So fortunately, we were already working with Outso and in different ways, but I developed a relationship with the CEO there, Mike Wethington. He, like me, were both sort of data geeks, and he got excited about, the idea. And I think he felt like we were the right group. We jokingly said our DNA was the same. We sort of saw the world the same way and thought this was possible. And you need technology, but you also need an automotive group, a retailer that's willing to embrace, a different way of doing things. So, and it wasn't inexpensive to get started. So, it took us 4 years from the time we started with Outsell in December of 2018. It took us a full year of meetings and discovery sessions to get the products built, and then to download all our data into the cloud, and then to scrub it and keep it clean and maintain it. There's a lot of time and energy, but like I said, after about a year, we launched last October, and it's, I'll be honest, it's exceeding our expectations. We had pretty high expectations, but it's doing everything we hoped it would, and even a bit more.
John, stop the screen share if you don't mind, and then we'll talk full screen. That'll give us a better picture as we do this little back and forth here.
Okay.
Great, fantastic. I got to ask you, what about on the people side of the business? What kind of training? Because this is a message that has to be carried out throughout the entire organization. What did you institute there to make sure that this is implemented and then sustained?
Well, the idea, the real trick was, can technology create and build relationships? And, there was a time when I didn't think that was possible. I've changed my mind. Again, it's about we're giving the customer more of what they want. And because it's automated, Ted, it's happening 24/7. So actually it takes a lot of burden, because think about who was responsible for that historically, right? Salespeople had lines, they were supposed to make 20 a day, but it was more like if you do the real math on your owner base and how many calls you would actually have to make in a day, right, to connect with all your customers 2 times a year, right? It's an extraordinary number, and that assumes that you're getting through, which rarely happens. So by sending personalized communications, we're building value in the customers, right? We all get inundated with lots of communication. So we were trying to break through by, again, changing the nature of the message to a value-added message that strengthened the customer's ownership experience.
You're really breaking new ground here, because you go back to that customers for life. I think of Carl Sewell,
right,
with the book back in the late 80s from the Sewell group down in Texas, who have done a great job and consistently do today as well. But your thinking has actually taken this up many, many notches, many, many levels that, a lot of folks couldn't even fathom putting this together. And I would imagine that's due to the fact that you've overseen initiatives like this at OEMs, and you've got the experience that's unique to be able to do this for your large dealer group there.
Yeah. Sometimes it helps to come from outside, right? Because you don't have preconceived ideas about anything. We have this, saying in our group where we're open to everything and attached to nothing. And that comes in pretty handy when the world's changing is in the ways that it is, right? Last year's an extreme example. We've been embracing change for quite some time. There was massive change last year. But yeah, customers for life, the idea has been around since the mid 90s when Carl Sewell wrote his book, right? And historically that's been around, taking care of your customers, right? But providing a good customer experience that's the cost of entry, right? The problem is what happens after we sell them a car, right? We all know that historically, our contact and communication often turns on again when they're in equity, or when we think it's time to sell them a car, or everybody sends out templated service reminders, oftentimes from the OEMs that have been the same thing for a long, long time. This is leveraging technology in a way to communicate with our customers in a way that builds value, strengthens the relationship, right? And ultimately retention. So yeah, it's a different way of doing it. But look, our messaging wouldn't matter if we didn't have good people doing good work day in and day out. So, it starts with that, but this is an evolution. This is that deeper dive into, like you said, true customers for life. And we do, like I said in the presentation, it's not about availability and pricing. There's a lot of discussion that customers are less loyal than they've ever been, yet we feel like they're looking for a human connection still. They still want a relationship, and that's something as dealers that we uniquely offer that, other online and digital, solutions don't. So I think it's our unique advantage, and I think we're building on it and playing from our strength, with this approach.
You're certainly right. The other online platforms, I'll mention a couple by name, the Carvana and the Vrooms, and
Right.
There's no way that they could gain the upper hand on what we have as retail dealers.
No, I totally agree with you. So while there's a lot of speculation out there about what direction the market is heading and digitization, each consumer is unique, and they all want different things. They don't all want the same thing. This strategy adapts to them, right? And it aligns with what their unique needs and what they value. And I think that's what people appreciate. That I think that's people want that. They want to be recognized for who they are, and they want to be treated as individuals. AI and this approach allows us to do that.
John Malashenko, Chief Operating Officer at the Germain Motor Company, forward thinking and taking his group to another level. John, thank you so much for being a part of the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Great to be with you. Thanks, Ted.
Thanks, John. And next up, it's Why Some Metrics Don't Matter panel, sponsored by Draver, right here on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Rev it up.
Well, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we are very excited about this panel that's coming up. This panel is the New Metrics and Why Some Don't Matter panel, and it is sponsored by Draver. Anthony Montero is here from Draver, Vehicle Delivery Logistics Simplified. Anthony, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hey, Ted, thanks for having me back. Super excited to be here. Got my Tully pin on. We're ready to rock this.
Yeah, I love it. And this has been anticipated for such a long time, Anthony. We've been working on this. I want to thank Mike Vogel for putting it together. And I'm going to let, our moderator, Tully Williams, go ahead and announce everybody. And Tully, thank you for leading this effort. And I'm going to turn the show over to your capable hands.
Well, thank you, Ted. Again, appreciate all you do for the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And again, I want to thank Mike, too, for getting this panel together. I am super excited. You know, when we look at all these stats that we look at every day and KPIs and metrics, we're like, what the hell is all this stuff? And what we talk about is some of it is just, I say, not good or trash. And I got some superstars today to talk with. I got Mike Vogel, the man, the coach, the legend. Anthony, I can't thank you enough for being the host today. I got my father, my mentor, Randy Brinkman, and Robert, the man that makes a video every day that I can't wait to watch. I am super excited to have it all. So we're going to start off about what is the metrics that we hate and what is the metrics that we love. And I'm going to first start off, and I hope I don't take anybody else's thunder, but the worst metrics ever is hours per RO. If we were trying to sell something to our mothers or our family members, if we are trying to even try to load up a shop, hours per RO is not the answer. So I want to start off. I just want to again start off and say, Anthony, thank you so much. And we cannot wait to hear some great stats that you have with pickup and delivery, as that is the new trend of 2000 and especially 2021. So I want to start off with my good friend, Robert. I tell you, Robert, I just want a little sidekick. I love the videos that you do on a daily basis on LinkedIn. They are sometimes just rocking and rolling. So what I want to ask today is, Robert, what is the matrix that you hate the most? And what is the metrics that you like to train on?
Hey guys, it's an honor to be here with you guys. And you know, back in high school, I couldn't even finish a sentence. So that's why I do videos today, right? Because I guess if you can't finish a sentence in high school, you got to make up for it for the rest of your life. So I keep talking. Nobody interrupts me when I do the videos. I can say whatever I want. But so metric that I hate, you know, I'm going to be the anti guy here, you know. I don't in particular hate any metric. So I just said it, sorry. But I do hate to sit in a meeting where I'm sitting with a dealer group and we're comparing each other's hours per RO or effective labor rate to each other. And the dealer owner looks at me and says, Robert, why can't your Kia labor hours per RO be the same as Volkswagen? And of course, all these guys come up through the sales side. And it's not that much that the metrics are bad, or you can use a broken metric, but you should not incentivize people on it like hours per RO. Obviously, if you incentivize people on hours per RO, that's a disaster. But you should know why it's declining if you're looking at it, right? But I sat in these meetings, 20 group meetings, where the owner's looking at me and said, Robert, get your hours per RO to benchmark. And I was like, I told the owner, listen, the benchmark sucks. Their time, and here's where I like to train on, their time for quick lube is a disaster. They're taking 3 hours for an oil change. We've got the quick lube, the quick lane figured out. Express service is express. So we're retaining 2-3 times the new customers, the low mileage cars. Of course, Kia has an eternal warranty. So before you get the customer pay, it's forever. But when you're retaining a lot of them, then you do a lot of oil changes. If your quick lane is, the express lane is actually an express lane. So I like to watch the express lane time and make sure that it's express. That's how you retain customers. What do customers want? We want to know how long is it going to take and how much is it going to cost. So if you get those right, you're going to increase your retention far beyond anybody else. So you don't want to mess those up.
You know, when you talk about retention, to me, that's kind of isn't that almost the holy grail of all matrix of all ever?
Yes, retention is where it's at. You cannot sell cars if you don't have retention. I mean, yes, you can, but you'll have to spend so much money on marketing. Your marketing budget will decrease if you just take care of people in the service department. So you've got to make sure that the service experience is so awesome that now you're seeing people on their third, fourth vehicle, the fifth vehicle that they purchased from the dealership because of service. And that's what I fell in love with as a service manager. When people are coming back with their third, fourth vehicle, I've seen high school kids with their entry-level car that go off to college, and now they're back buying their real car, first car out of college, because of the service experience. And at that point, in reality, nothing else, you don't have any obstacles. Price resistance doesn't exist. And you have to be fair. You have to be careful not to manipulate that trust at that point, because these people will buy anything you sell them. They trust you. I mean, how often have they told me, you're the expert, or my advisors, they would tell them, Bob, you're the expert, or Aldo was one of my advisors that we trained up to be a superstar. Said, Aldo, you're the expert. Tell me what's next. Do the next thing in the book. And it all starts with keeping your time promises, keeping your price promises. Don't break those promises. And those are the metrics that I love. The time it takes to do those quick loop services. With appointment, I would guarantee them it's under 1 hour or it's free. And you can do a labor op, obviously, when you gave them away for free. You run that report, you know how many you gave away for free. And besides, I'm in the service drive. The service manager should be in the service drive monitoring this stuff. And I mean, sure, you get backed up occasionally. That's a little bit different, or you're short on staff. Those things will happen. That's fine. But how do you set it up long term?
That is really interesting. You know, when I talked to my good friend Ed down in Florida, I think he's the master at quick lane with like at least, I think he has got 15 quick lane areas, and his store has grown so much. And when you look at all of the brands, even our luxury brands like we have at the Nilo company, is the quick lane or the lube center, like you're talking about, Robert, is a key issue. Even if the factory's paying for it, is the retention to keep people back in the store. So Robert, spot on. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Got one more thing to say about that, because you mentioned Ed. So I have visited Mozart Fort Lincoln, but they got it down to, from the time the customer hands you the key, quick lube, the oil change, and car wash, about 27 minutes. So it's all hands on deck when they're falling behind, and everyone has to pitch in, and they do two technician teams. So they're amazing. It's an awesome operation, and that's how they get retention. They have a great name in the community. I mean, he told me, I talked to him yesterday, he told me he needs 15 more technicians. That's
going to bring him to 100, I think, ain't it?
Yeah.
Well, Robert, thank you so much. I want to move next to my mentor, my father, my grandfather, my brother, Randy Brinkman, the man that said, Tully, ignore the gross, start focusing on the hours, and God bless America for that. So, Randy, tell me, what is the metrics that you hate? I know what it is. And tell me, what is the metrics that you love the most?
There's two of them that bother me. And unfortunately, they're historic metrics that, as you all mentioned, even in composites and industry composites and so forth, they tend to be key columns. But I think they're very misunderstood. And the two that are very, very damning, in my opinion, are hours per RO and effective labor rate. And they're actually tied to people's pay plans. Now, if you think about what we're trying to do, when we're trying to do retention, hours per RO and effective labor rate actually fight retention. Take hours per RO, and we get averages. Say, for example, just for academia, if you get me to 2 hours per RO average, I'll give you a bonus. Well, I'm at 2.01 hours per RO. I'm in the bonus. Now, the next car that comes in the drive is a brand new vehicle with temporary tags. And all of a sudden, the advisor has a urinary tract infection. They have to take off running, because if they write it, they're in trouble. And if you can parallel that to used cars, if you get me to $2,500 a copy on a used car, I'll give you a $1,000 bonus. Well, I'm at 2,501. My next guest is here on the oldest car in stock that we have priced on the internet for an $1,800 profit. I've got to walk them, because if I take them, I lose the bonus. Now, the other is effective labor rate, and it's very misunderstood. With all due respect, many people do not understand the calculation. For example, I just wrote an RO, and I have two technicians standing in front of me, both capable and available to do the job. As a matter of fact, if I put a stopwatch on them, they'll both begin and end at the exact same second. So there's no question about skill level, ability, or even attitude. But the difference is one makes $15 a flat rate hour, and the other one makes $30 a flat rate hour. So when asking management, and I ask, so if I use the more expensive $30 an hour tech, what will be the impact on my effective labor rate? And 90% of the time plus, they say it'll go down. And I'm like, you're talking about your gross profit retention. Your effective labor rate is sale price divided by the time paid. Has absolutely nothing to do with it. So if you think about effective labor rate, you really don't care about the effective labor rate. Not to an advisor. What you really care about is whether or not they're discounting or changing the flag times. Because if I never change the flag time and I never change the price, the customer and management sets your effective labor rate. As a matter of fact, the more same-day selling you do generally lowers your effective labor rate. So we're saying I need for you to get a higher average effective labor rate. What you're telling me to do is to have defection. So if you really want to take three metrics, hours per RO, dollars per RO, and effective labor rate, if you would like them to be higher, simplest way to do it is to close on Saturdays, tell new customers to stay away for 5 or 6 years, and overcharge anybody else who dares to come see you. Because the more new cars that come in is going to impact that. And much like Robert said, I agree with you, especially when you have large dealer groups with multiple franchise and one size fits all. You can never have a Chrysler and a GMC store have the same hours per RO as a Toyota or a Kia. And the same is true for the effective labor rate, even if they all start off with the same amount. So the metric I like the most is hours.
I want to hear it, Randy. Tell us that. I know you hate them, so let's tell about what really makes it a shop work. The metric is it.
It's period. It's hours. And here's the danger. When you get into these averages, I don't know about you, but I'm 8 hours per RO and I'm $5,000 effective labor rate. And I did both of them last year. It just doesn't work. As a matter of fact, the more you do, you tend to drive the numbers down. And you mentioned hours per RO. Let's say you want me to be at 2 hours per RO. Okay? I do 10 ROs. That's 20 hours. My first 6 customers are retention. They're the first time in. Well, what's your time going to be on that ticket? I'll give you a whole hour. Okay, that's 6 hours. I got to get 14 hours out of the next 4 people. The math just doesn't support it. So I will never get into a philosophical discussion with you about your business because I'm going to lose, especially when I'm right. You put the math to it and you'll see exactly what this really means. And we really have to get away from the emotional and get to the mathematical, because we do one thing in this business that I don't think anybody else does. 12 times a year, and sometimes 13, we put together a complete financial statement as if it's year end. Who else does that? That financial statement is telling you exactly what's going on. Believe your numbers.
So when you look at the metrics you like is when you look at a shop and when you're trying to figure out what makes that shop tick and what makes that shop successful, talk about the hour piece and the inventory.
Well, it's what you've got. You're there to sell 4 inventories. You're there to sell a new vehicle inventory, a used vehicle inventory, a parts inventory, and a technician's time inventory. So anybody that's listening right now, I'm sorry that we're bothering you on the last day of the month. And if you think about that, a new car not sold today could be sold tomorrow. A used car not sold today could be sold tomorrow. A part not sold today could be sold tomorrow. But technician's time not sold today is gone forever. You've lost it. And then you get into California when you have guarantees. That's a whole nother topic. But at the end of the day, don't make this difficult. It's not hard. The average tech on an 8-hour day would like to turn hours. Simply take the number of techs you have, put a 0 behind it. There you go. How many techs did you have yesterday? 12. How many hours did you turn? 80. Hold my calls. You had another 40 hours you could have sold. That's another 50%. You still can't get the used cars through the shop. We've got to concentrate on selling the inventory. 90% of all your problems in a dealership will be found in an inventory. 90% of your solutions will be found in an inventory 100% of the time.
Randy, I love that. I tell you, we're going to come back in a minute. But hey, the next up is my man, the coach, the legend, Mike Vogel. I'm telling you, you have been around. I love those emotional posts that you put down. I put them on our TVs behind us every day, and some of them are incredible. But I tell you, I hear that what you got coming up here is incredible, and it all starts with our great product that we love to hate, tires. So, Mike, tell me, what is the matrix that you hate the most, and the metrics
Well,
you
first, let me start
hate?
with there's one legend on this screen right now, and that's Mr. Randy Brinkman. Okay, and you and I know that because we both learned from this man. So my hat is off to Randy because he turned the light bulb off for me, and that's what we hope to do with these fixed ops roundtables, is get that aha moment for enough fixed ops managers out there so they go back to their stores and say, this is what I'm going to do. But moving forward to your point, tires is my hot point, simply because we've watched our business over the last 2 or 3 decades at least, where we continue to measure the numbers. Too many stores continue measuring the numbers. And the one number that's not improving in that 2 or 3 decades is retention. That's because we're so focused on the numbers and we're not focused on the customer experience and the things that drive it. So Robert brought up about Ed Roberts and Express Service. Of course, we were late to the game. We watched all the independents and aftermarkets take away 70% of our business because we weren't competitive in the marketplace and we were too slow. And now we've been playing catch up all this time, but we're still out there measuring effective labor rate. Well, how can you have a high effective labor rate if you're doing oil changes? But yet oil change is part of your maintenance package and it's a necessity, just like tires. So when we talk about tires now, we're not only talking about for today, but what about for the next 5 to 10 years when more and more electric vehicles start hitting the market and there's less oil changes and there's less moving parts and there's less repair work other than electronics and diagnostic? What's going to be left? Car still has to have tires, and they're probably going to be replaced every 30 to 40,000 miles approximately. This car is still going to need alignments once a year is the recommendation. It's going to need wheel balances probably once a year. So why are we spinning our wheels worrying about not making much gross on tires? And I'm not here to suggest that you make zero on it, but you do what's necessary to close the sale. Let's look at the variable side. They'll spend $500 or $600 a car to advertise them to bring people in to buy the car. They'll give the car away to hit their objective from the factory, and everybody's okay with that. But yet, if I want to sell tires for cost plus 5% because that's what it's going to need because the customer's got a quote from America's Tire or Pep Boys, whatever, why don't I make that deal? Because what's that going to ensure? That's going to ensure as long as I give the customer a good experience, customers are going to come back 2 or 3 times a year for the next 3 to 5 years with an average gross profit of at least $100 per repair order. There's $1,000 in gross profit for one customer times how many customers? We lose 70% of the customers that we send off to the tire stores. I mean, the numbers are staggering. So I don't know, to Randy's point and Robert, I know we're all kind of preaching to the choir on this particular panel, but for those of you watching this, why are we so tied up with the numbers? To use Tully's favorite expression, we need to be in the repeat and the referral business. It's not only the repeat business for repair orders, but what about the next car sale? If we don't sell them tires and they go away, our odds of selling them the next vehicle goes down. Not to mention, we probably lose the chance of getting any kind of referral business, whether it's to the service department or to the sales department. There's just so many things that go into play if we're not serious about being in the tire business. So be competitive, make a decent profit, but don't lose a sale. We need that tire sale to continue the relationship and continue the repeat and the referral business.
Mike, I think I had a tear right there. girl. So, when I look at tire business, and, David Boyle, sir, brought a lot of attention to it, and we can't thank him enough, is that when we look at different avenues that now with tires, is before that was the back room, and it's, oh my God, it's the black stuff I don't make any money with. And now with I think some of the technology out there today that helps us drive those tires in the driveway, to what Robert was talking about, how important maintenance is, and to you talking about how important retention and tires are. I look at tires as that's the reason why it's a separate line item on the statement, because there is no gross profit in it, right? And I think that we have to work hard on it. So what we do at the Needle Company is I look at red tires. I don't look at tires coming in the driveway. I look for red tires. And I want to tell you, we still suck at it. But we are working hard to try to understand and teach our service advisors the importance of tires. So further ado, before we go on to our
I'd like to add to that.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Mike.
Where we need to start this conversation is from day one, when the customer buys the vehicle and they come in for their first maintenance. We need to talk about tires. One of the other things we always hear in the business is sell the green. Okay, so at 5,000 miles or 7,500, whenever that first service is, talk about the tires, take the measurements on the drive, and talk to them about the importance of tire pressure, tire rotations, alignments, things like that. The conversation needs to start from day one when you see that customer. So when they get to 30 or 40,000 miles and they need tires, they remember all the previous conversations. They remember about the green, the yellow, the red.
100% agree, Mike, on that. And that's a great way to end the first segment. And now we have a great message from our gracious host. So let's take a look at his gracious message. When we come back, Anthony's going to say, this is the new metric of 2021.
Companies across diverse industries conduct a lot of vehicle moves every day. But are you tracking the efficiency and cost of these moves? The level of time and planning, or lack thereof, going into them? Many businesses actually fail to track vehicle movement costs, and that leads them to encouraging, whether they know it or not, wasteful uses of time and money. This is where Draver comes in. We move vehicles daily, at any scale, from local to international, empowered by our AI logistics platform. When it comes to vehicle movement, Draver takes all the heavy lifting off your staff. Your employees are tasked with moving vehicles, people, and packages every day. Draver's simple web interface makes it easy for your people to track and control the chaos. Then, our drivers get minute-by-minute instructions via the app, making sure everyone is on the same page. The Draver platform matches pickup and delivery tasks with drivers and then coordinates drivers to trips. It adds efficient logistics to your operation. Our platform constantly optimizes routes, termination points to origination points, and rideshare versus chase decisions. In practice, it eliminates the need for a chase vehicle over 40% of the time, saving your business time and money. To keep your operation consistently staffed, Draver can predict workforce shortages against daily demand and find insured, vetted drivers ASAP. Best of all, Draver is flexible with your infrastructure. It seamlessly integrates with your software and processes, so you don't have to change a thing. You can use the platform to optimize your existing operations. You can take advantage of Draver's network of drivers, or you can use a combination of both. We make it easy for any business to move vehicles. Whether it's one truck, hundreds of cars, or 1,000 semis, our online platform does it all for you. Sign up today, and we will waive all setup fees, and we'll credit your account with $200 for free moves.
Welcome back, Anthony. Your product is just on fire. When we had COVID hit, and it was a hard hit for all of us. What did we learn in COVID? We need to do every recall, and we need to go get those cars and bring them in to do what? Exactly what Robert said. Maintenance. Let's get every car. We didn't care if it was a wiper blade or not. And it looks like you got some great metrics that really go after what you're doing with pickup and delivery. Are you actually looking at that expense? Or are you just saying, yeah, whatever? So, Anthony, I cannot wait to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. Listening to the legends of the fixed ops arena right here on the screen is great. And, you know, there's new metrics, there's always new things. And we live in a new world now, right? A world of service pickup and delivery is not just for the Lexus guy and the BMW guy anymore. It's for almost everybody, because consumers are being programmed that you can get something and it shows up on your doorstep, and that's turned into your vehicle being serviced. And all of these things that we need to measure starts to come down to, that's going to cost me some money to pick up and deliver cars, right? Are customers going to pay for that? How do I recoup that cost? But the first thing that you need to think about is, how much is it costing me, right? And I'm not going to go back and do the sales pitch of, hey, it's going to cost me X if I don't do it. That's a number to calculate. But how much does it really cost? What's your hard cost of having somebody drive that vehicle to someone's home, drop it off, and then get a ride back? If there's no loaner car, you need a ride back. So you either need 2 people in a chase car, or we use an Uber or a Lyft driver to take us back. We use Uber, other guys use Lyft. It doesn't matter. There's a cost to that. So how do you measure it? Well, the new measurement is cost per vehicle moved, right? How much does it cost me to move each one of those? And how much does it cost me to move based on the radius of my marketplace? So we can look and say, hey, if you're in your market within 5 miles, 10 miles, it's going to cost you X number of dollars to move every one of those vehicles. Does that fit into your business model to pay for it? Or are we going to ask the customer to pay for this? Is it going to become a profit line, right? If I can move a car for $30 and my customer is going to pay 45, 15 times, do the math, right? If I can do it cheaper, right, as I get better at it, because what we'll do is figure out, instead of having that chase every time, we'll try to figure out a way to just move that driver maybe less than a mile or a mile to go pick up another car and bring them back, than one that might be coming in for service as I'm dropping one off that's finished. And that's kind of the new way to look at things, in a programmatic way, to chain events together that can help a dealer do this and not break the bank. But if they're going to do it, you got to measure it, because willy-nilly doing anything, any of the things that you guys just talked about, if I didn't measure it, how successful would you be? So why would you not measure? How much is it costing me per mile to move these vehicles back and forth? And service is one thing. And, you know, Randy talked about, you're selling 4 things and you're selling cars. Here's some of our really progressive dealers are doing this to provide the chase. They don't have loaner cars, so they're looking in their service lane for equity and lease renewals coming due, and they see the 5 or 6 people in their service lane coming in for service. They'll work with the sales team to calculate a new payment and bring them a new car, pick up their car for service, and now that's the loaner car. So now I've got a new car in the hand of my customer. I have that vehicle back. I've created a memory of that customer of, wow, these guys brought me a new car. They picked my car up for service. And then while you have it in possession, how much does that RO go up? How many tires can you sell? What maintenance can you do? Because they have your car all day, right? And you have their car all day. So you can call them up and say, hey, I noticed that you need to add or do. And they're going, well, hey, go ahead. I have a brand new car that I'm driving around. So there's a lot of really creative new things that we can do, but measuring them, again, across the board is super important. So think about the next time you're a fixed ops director and you're doing service pickup and delivery, go back and ask your controller if they know how much it's costing them to move the cars around. And they'll look at you and say, I don't. Find me somebody who can measure it and you'll be the superstar. So that's my take on the metric that you need to measure in the new way of doing business, and how we can, you know, fulfill this new marketplace.
You know, it's interesting is that I think that Mike and Robert and Randy, we all talk about retention. We all talk about repeat referral business. And then the holy grail, we all talk about matrix of maintenance, right? And I think that when we look at those, maintenance is the key issue to repeat referral business. It does drive down some of those old matrices. So the question I have, Anthony, is we all know that maintenance is really not a super moneymaker, but it's a moneymaker. And how do we work with a program like yourself into helping make sure that we have pickup and delivery for at least for all the cheapest oil changes, the very first service that costs us absolutely nothing. And we love to do it because we know that is building that relationship.
So take it in, right? And the beautiful thing about a product like this is you do not have to staff to pick up and deliver 50 cars a day. You do it as the volume of what you need is there, right? So maybe I do 5 today because they fit this profile of customer that I really want to woo by offering this pickup and delivery service and getting their first maintenance and setting that stage. And tomorrow I might need to do 15 of those, right? Do I really need to staff up with all those drivers and manage them and put them on payroll? No. You say, hey, driver, I need 4 drivers to do this pickup and delivery service today. Somebody types it in our application. The driver gets it on their app. They come in, they pick it up, they do the job. You communicate with your customer, and they go tell all their friends that ABC dealership, you won't believe what they did. They brought me a new car, or they picked mine up and they dropped it off. They fixed everything I needed them to fix, and I love these guys, and I'm always going to go back to them for service. And your cost is only as you need it. So your infrastructure to get into this game is zero.
You know, that is incredible. And let's go back to Robert. You know, when you're talking about measuring that driveway and measuring that maintenance thing, which is so crucial for us, especially when Mike talks about tires, is how do you go into a store and say, hey, we need to get this done in 30 minutes or less? And then, but we also want to train on, let's make sure that we are making those great inspections, I call tech recs, and making sure we get those back to the customer so we can sell those tires or sell those air filters. What's Robert's little secret sauce on making the most successful service drive better?
Well, you've got to have the right staff. But let me just say first, Randy, I would have loved to have you as a consultant to fly in when I was a service manager. I'd probably still be a service manager today because I had to spend years with general managers and dealer principals, owners who did not understand these numbers. All they knew is you got to get that ELR up, the effective labor rate, it's got to go up, hours per hour got to go up. And by all means, in a certain situation, they can. My friend at a Chevy dealership here locally, he's got the average car in his service drive has 87,000 miles. There, you know, you're going to have a decent hours per hour and effective labor rate. But at the same time, you know that's there. So if you going back to the maintenance, to have a successful maintenance, you have to have dedicated staff. And the thing is, ancient scripture says that from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, and from the abundance of the heart and what you put into people's minds, that's how they're going to act. So it has to do with leadership. You got to have leadership that walks the walk, not just talks the talk. Like, you know, we talked about Ed Roberts. Ed will go into the quick lane and he's going to deliver the filters. He'll pull a car around. Everybody has to be on deck. If you say that we want to do this, you have to staff for it. And then if your facility doesn't allow for it, look at the 2-man teams and cut down the time that way so you can have better stall utilization. Because if you're landlocked, if you cannot build an extra bay or two, then you're really against the wall. So you've got to staff right. You got to make the commitment and take care of customers. If you're another metric, an important metric is how far out are we scheduling your basic maintenance service? If you're 1 month out on an oil change, there's a major problem there. I've seen a Toyota dealer build an extra hangar, a temporary hangar, and put some lifts up real quick to alleviate the problem. And you got to give these guys a career path. It's always a challenge. How in the world am I going to find the technicians to do this? Well, again, go back to what Ed's doing at Bozart. I mean, really, they're from what I've seen, they can be the standard. If you work in the quick lane for 1 year, then you go into the apprenticeship program, work with master techs, you go through the courses, the classes, and you can become a Ford Master Technician in a few years. So the average age in their shop is about 30-something years, whereas for Ford Master Technicians, the average age nationally is about 50-something. So they're bringing in new blood, but you got to get these guys excited. You got to lead them. And we create PowerPoints, fun ones, you know, with airplanes crashing and stuff like that. Because I say, you got to look at, I created a video the other day that maybe some of you have seen. Think about it. If you were in charge of inspecting a small airplane and your technician doing the multi-point inspection on a small airplane for your loved ones to fly in, for your kids to fly in, and that's how you should be inspecting these cars. How can you allow a customer to leave with tires that are slick? It's a moral responsibility. So I look at customers, I teach client care. Think of a customer as a purchaser of a commodity. Client is a someone that's under your care. So I take that seriously. I take that so seriously that I view it my moral responsibility. Look at tires, brakes, wipers, and turn signals. Make sure that that customer can just push the button and drive. Used to be turn the key and drive, right? Well, now all I wanted to worry about is push the button and drive. And soon it's going to be where they don't even have to. They just tell the car, take me home. But still, they're going to ride on tires and brakes. So the commitment, and it's all about leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. So if you have a service manager who wants to sit in the office and basically look at the mirror, and people come in and he's actually looking at talking to them in the mirror, which I've seen this. Service manager sitting at the desk doing warranties, and he's got a mirror on the wall. When someone comes in, what do you want? No, you can't do that. You got to be committed. So at times you might be pulling around cars. Now, I'm not saying permanently. You need to have your staff do these operations, but at times when it's peak times, you're going to move cars, take care of customers, apologize to customers if you're getting backed up. Go there and make sure, get them a cup of coffee or a bottle of water. But it's commitment. And then in general, we even did a special, and I recommend this. Do it. Do a special where you tell the customers that you determine the price of the service. We're going to let you to evaluate our service, and we did this very successfully. So you send out the postcard and it say you determine the price of the service based on your evaluation of the service. So what we did, we do the service, we come out and the car's in the driveway. We say, hey, Mr. Customer, we did the 7,500 mile service. We did your oil and filter change, topped up the fluid, set tire pressures, checked the tires, brakes, filters, battery, wipers, and everything's in the green. And today that service took 27 minutes. So you can determine how much you want to pay for the service. So the customers would say about 20% more than what the rate was, than our special was. So be bold, you know, over promise, not, they say under promise, over deliver. No.
You know, Robert, what I love is that you're so spot on, because, you know, I think that these young service riders and service managers, I should say, they sit in their office, they put the Burger King hat on, and they think they're God's gift to the planet. And I think the best place for a service manager is in the service drive, like you said, and having that mindset of, if it was your mother's car or your relative's car, is super spot on. And Robert, thank you so much for that. All right, Randy, when we talk about maintenance, like Robert was bringing up, you know, the key issue is that, you know, I've always heard, don't believe the answer though, but a lot of times is that maintenance drives those hours down. How can we get that hours forecast made in this service drive on maintenance?
You know, if a general manager who primarily comes through their training as a front end variable guy would just go ahead and run the service department with the skills that they have in the same manner as the sales department, they'd be very successful. And I think they'd realize how easy it really truly is. For example, if they're out of the store, they'll call back and they'll ask the salespeople, how many units of inventory did you sell? Well, why don't we do the same thing in service? Call back and say, how many units of inventory did you sell? Because, you know, if you had 12 techs, you're looking for 120 hours. If they're not around 120 hours, then you know there's a situation that you can deal with. But when you look at industry groups and things of this nature, a lot of the metrics of hours per RO and effective labor rate, we tend to go after those. And I'm not sure why. We've been battling this for years. The truth of the matter is, I don't think I would ever talk to a service advisor about their hours per RO, because you're going to force behavior in the wrong way. They're going to tell oil changes and so forth to go away because you're going to lower my average. Really, the point that you're really trying to ask is, what about your single line repair orders? Because if I can get same day selling to be successful, then single line repair orders are not going to be there, and you'll get the hours and the profits that you're looking for. The other is the effective labor rate. Should never ask or make a statement to an advisor about your effective labor rate is low. Perhaps the reason they're low is they are selling more off the multi-point inspections than anybody else. Because every time you sell an in-cabin filter, you're going to lower your effective labor rate. Open on Saturdays, you're going to lower your effective labor rate just because of the nature of it. What you should probably really be checking on is if they're discounting. Because quite frankly, if an advisor never discounts and never changes the flag times, they have absolutely no control over the effective labor rate. The effective labor rate has been decided by management because they put a time and a price in the computer, and the customer because they says, I'll take one.
Well, you're spot on. And the way I look at single line repair orders is same day selling or same visit selling. And, when we talk about in the service drive, in the maintenance center, what Robert was talking about, and then we talk about, are we looking and as our riders know what they're doing? And it comes right back to you, Mike, and we'll give you the final question before we give it over to our great host, is that, the importance of tires and the retention piece is when we're in the service drive, how do we convince people that tires is a must?
I think it's getting back to basics. I mean, our business is sometimes overcomplicated by people. It's really a basics business. So what have we been fighting for decades now? Perception. What is the customer's perception? That it costs too much and it takes too long. So it's a dealership's responsibility. It's a service department's responsibility to number one, build trust with their customers consistently. Number two, they have to show value in everything that they're talking to them about consistently. And then they have to be as convenient as possible. And that's convenient on the customer's terms, not on their own terms, as consistently as possible. So if you do those three items consistently and you work on the idea that we have to change the customer's perception, because how could it be, I've been in the 3 decades of car business, and the perception back in the 80s is the same as it is today. And why is that? Because we continue to chase the matrix, as Randy talks about, of hours per RO and effective labor rate. We need to stop chasing numbers. We need to chase our customers and give them a reason to come back and do business with us. If we do that and we do a good job at it, we'll sell more tires. We'll get serious about the business.
Mike, you're so spot on. And then finally, Anthony, again, I want to say thank you so much for being this host. And you talk about these 3 legends on the screen here, and we talk about what we're trying to do. It started with Robert saying it's all about, are we measuring the maintenance? Are we making it happen? And I love how we want to get management involved. Randy talking about the hours, and if you're at hours per row, what are you going to do? You're going to drive away people, and then it comes down to where it's all about repeat and referral business. And I think programs like yourself and what you're doing with pickup and delivery and helping us manage that is going to help us drive that crucial number is your company in the repeat and referral business. So Anthony, I cannot thank you enough for what you're doing and your great product and for hosting this panel, and having these 3 legends on the phone. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It was awesome. I learned a lot of information just sitting here on the panel. So if this doesn't work out, I'm going to go start writing service.
Love that, Anthony, so much. Well, Ted, wow, what's some excitement here, huh?
A lot of energy, Tully, which we've come to expect from you. So I want to thank the panel. Thank you so much, Randy Brinkman. First time on the Fixed Ops Roundtable, and we hope to have you back many, many, many more times. Robert Sebastian, a great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Robert, thank you so much for all you do for our industry, and absolutely fantastic job today. Mike Vogel, the coach, founding father. Without Mike, none of this would have happened here at all. So, Mike, thank you for all you do for this event. Anthony Montero at Draver, thank you so much for all you do as well. Anthony, it seems that everybody I talk to in the industry, you have touched them somehow, some way. They know who you are and they know of you. So you got a great reputation. So great work you're doing at Draver today. And of course, want to thank Tully Williams. Tully, thank you so much for moderating the panel. Great job today. Tully at the Nilo Company over in Sacramento, California. All right, everybody. Gene, back to you.
Well, thanks, everyone. And thanks, Ted. And we will continue with more of Rev It Up at the Fixed Ops Roundtable right after this.
This is our scanning system, which consists of a touchscreen computer and a 60-page per minute duplex scanner. I am going to show you how to scan a typical repair order. Bring up our dealer scanning application. Click on Repair Orders. Place the repair order in the scanner and click on the Scan Repair Order. This will start the scanning process, which will scan all pages front and back and automatically read the repair order number. After scanning is complete, the repair order number will be shown on the screen. For this example, the repair order number is 995957. You can now confirm that the repair order number matches the number on the screen. Then click OK, which converts the scanned pages into a PDF document and saves them into the system. To view the scanned pages, simply click on the View button, which will bring up the repair order where you can easily view and navigate all the scanned pages. You also have the ability to scan small items like battery test printouts or service coupons. Simply load the small items into the scanner and click the Scan Other Items button, and they will be scanned and added to the existing repair order. You can view the scanned items by clicking the View button where you can see the items at the bottom of the PDF document. It is simple. Now, I am going to show you how service advisors, accounting, warranty administrators, parts department, and technicians can easily retrieve the scanned repair orders. Each person will have the repair order viewer on their computer, which allows them to look up repair orders by repair order number, VIN number, or customer name. For this example, we will use the repair order we just scanned, which is 995957. Click Search. The scanned record will be shown, and by clicking on the scanned date, you can see the contents of the scanned repair order. Here, users can print or download or email the repair order document. It is simple. How much does this cost? You don't need to contact us or email us for a quote. We'll give it to you right now. $500 installation fee. $500 monthly service fee per unit. Unlimited scanning. No long-term contract, just month to month. Dealer scanning. Organize your dealership documents, saving time, space, and money.
Ted, another great panel here at Rev It Up on the Fixed Ops Roundtable. And now we're joined by some very special friends of the Roundtable and special friends of someone else that we know who's coming up later on in the program. Patrick and Craig, welcome to the show.
Hey, Gene, you're right. Such a great honor to welcome Patrick Cronin, great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Patrick from CNC Solutions, and also Craig Baer from Nilfisk. Gentlemen, welcome to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Gene.
Pat, you and I met, I'm going to say, started having conversations in early fall of 2019, and you started telling me about the importance of these cleaning products in dealerships. And you know what? The last 12 months has proved it's never so relevant as right now. And so you're in a great space at a great time.
Yeah, we are. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Craig, thank you so much for being here as well. From Nilfisk, we're going to learn a little bit more about what you folks do. And I think there's some slides we're going to bring up. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, there's a familiar face we see on the screen. And Patrick, I understand that you and Jay Leno and Nilfisk have a connection you'd like to tell our audience about today.
Yeah, it was really a funny story. Well, maybe not funny by Jay's standards, but funny by my standards. 20 years ago, I had sold Jay his first auto scrubber for his big dog facility. And Nilfisk had recently come out with a autonomous floor scrubber. No operator needed, just scrubs around and cleans the entire building. So I reached out to Helga. I said, Helga, we have this amazing autonomous floor scrubber. I'd love to bring it out and show it to Jay. And she said, Patrick, that's wonderful, but how do we know it's not going to hit cars? And I looked at Helga. I said, that's what we're going to try to figure out. And she just laughed. And about a month and a half later, 2 months later, we sent the Nilfis team out there. They ran the entire building, and he loved it. And he's actually he runs it. They run it every day now, so it's a magnificent thing for him. It helps his team do what they want to do, and it helps. It helps his people, just basically be able to take care of the rest of the cars, which is really what their goal is.
And that garage is extremely clean, from what I understand. Now, who do we have here in this picture, Pat? It looks like you're getting a.
It's actually spotless. So what it was, the other reason Jay likes Nilfisk is the fact that he says that I look like his favorite professional wrestler of all time, which that's George the Animal Steele. Now, I don't see any resemblance at all, but he does believe that I look like George the Animal Steele. I can take this off if you. I better not. So.
Well, no, I'd rather you keep it on. In fact, I'm so happy you came prepared for today's Rev It Up event. So, great stuff. So you've got a bond there with Jay going on. So, I think our audience appreciates that. And you know what? Some of our attendees have actually had the opportunity to get that Nilfisk product in their shops. Among them, Ed Roberts over at Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine.
They're a great customer. They're great people, and we're part of many of the buying groups that, the MOPAR program, the GMDE program. One of the programs we're not is Ford Rotunda, and I'm hoping with Ed's help that Rotunda's going to pick up the phone and call us and say, hey, we need you guys.
Well, you got a lot of attention on your product and on your services right now, so I really like that.
Thank you.
Craig, I see the tagline, clean is changing, splashed all over your website. How do you see it changing?
Well, Ted, the pandemic has really fundamentally changed the way the world is cleaning and really thinking about what is clean. So clean and sanitary is now really business critical. People not only want to see you clean, they want to know how you clean. And really any company that's dealing with the public now, like auto dealers, are in the cleaning business. So let's face it, do you want your customers to, have a dealership to come in and think, wow, are they protecting me or are they infecting me? So our goal really with car dealers is to help them protect their customers and team members with efficient cleaning solutions. And we'll help improve their appeal to potential customers and also to provide a clean and safe space for their employees. I think it was, I know Jay Ganani, the president and co-founder of Wrenchway, put it this way, and I do quote, one of the most overlooked aspects of acquiring and retaining high quality technicians is a clean shop. Another point to consider, do you know that over 56% of all cars brought in for service now are brought in by women? So think about it. What percentage do you think will return if they come into a dirty environment? So it's really about instilling trust in the public's mind that your business is safe, clean, and welcoming. So in that sense, clean has truly become, a deeper meaning.
And, a lot of times dealers, we lose sight because we see that shop every day and we just take it for granted and we don't realize, looking at it through the customer's eyes, what they see. So I think that's really important. And from the employees, our internal customers' eyes, what they experience as well. So it makes a lot of sense. Patrick, what are some of the programs that Nilfisk has to help dealers keep their facilities clean and their guests safe?
So what we did, Ted, about 2 years ago, we reached out to FCA, GM, Toyota, and Honda to be part of their dealer equipment programs, and we're part of all of those. So there's some very unique ways you can purchase equipment, be it off your parts inventory list if you choose. One of the reasons why they came to us is we have 80 service and sales technicians on the road going out and doing on-site evaluations and on-site surveys. Basically coming out and telling you exactly what kind of scrubber you need to scrub a dealership of your size with your floor. The second thing that they really wanted to see was what kind of service do we offer after the sale? And the key thing there is that Nilfisk offers an unprecedented 333 warranty. So that's 3 years parts, 3 years labor, and most importantly, 3 years travel on your service for your scrubber. Most other manufacturers offer 6 months. Travel is a huge cost when, if you're in a busy metropolitan area and somebody's sitting in traffic for 2 hours, you're getting dinged for that every time. So Nilfisk went out of their way to eliminate that and make it as easy as possible to keep your facility clean and safe. Now, I think Craig has something to add that's kind of a special offer for everybody who's part of the Fixed Operations Roundtable. Craig?
We just think it's really cool that Jay Leno is participating in this event, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be part of this special roundtable, and for the opportunity really to work with the automotive world. So we would like to show our appreciation by giving a little back. And so over the next couple months, we're going to donate $100 to Dealers versus Cancer for every Nilfisk scrubber sold to an auto dealer. In addition, we want to give back to the dealerships themselves. So for any scrubber sold, we'll throw in a 20-inch push sweeper. It's a $600 value, but it certainly will help. You see a picture of it in this slide. It'll help keep your walkways and your lots clean. So as Patrick mentioned, we're happy to come out and do an on-site survey and look at your situation and find out the best solution for your environment. So please contact me or your local Nilfisk rep, or you can welcome to call Patrick as well.
And if you'd like, everyone, we'll have Patrick and Craig available here. If you have some questions for them, we've put a QR code up on the screen. Just go ahead and scan that with your phone. Open the camera to do that. And you can go ahead and visit and have some of your questions answered right now by Patrick Cronin and Craig, and do a little networking as well. Find out more about the product, tell them more about your needs, and they'll tell you more about what it is that they do. Craig Baer and Patrick Cronin here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thanks, Ted. Rev it up.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Gene.
Hey, you're welcome, guys. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And folks, you want to stick around because Ted and I will be right back to let you in on a little sneak peek about what's happening on day 2 at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Rev it up. Don't go away.